Tonight, legitimate land deal or something else?
There would be a reconciliation at the end of the transaction if it sold out.
Completely wrong.
The inquiry into cost overruns at the police headquarters narrows in on a transaction by the city's former CAO. What Phil Schiegel had to say in response. Also tonight, the trade mission begins.
Be able to create those partnerships and those relationships, and that's really what it's all about.
Who's taking part and what's at stake with the Manitoba delegation in Mexico for high-level talks. Plus,
well, slow down. That's the biggest problem now is just speed, eh?
Checking in on highway conditions as truckers describe treacherous conditions on Manitoba roadways.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Winnipeg's former top bureaucrat was back in the hot seat today, grilled over his role in the police headquarters scandal. And Phil Schiegel flat out refuted claims a land sale in Arizona was fabricated to cover up a payment related to the police headquarters project. This after a civil court judge concluded in 2022 Schiegel accepted a bribe. Live with the latest testimony tonight is CTV's Jeff Keel. So, Jeff, what was Schiegel asked about this land sale?
The city's lawyer suggested to him the deal did not exist. Schiegel was adamant the suggestion was completely false. Phil Schiegel strongly denies an accusation he made up a land deal in Arizona to cover up an incentive from the Police HQ project's general contractor.
It was because there was no such deal.
That is completely false.
The former City of Winnipeg CAO was answering questions for the second day at the inquiry into the renovation of the former Canada Post building. In 2022, a civil court judge concluded Schiegel accepted a $327,000 bribe from Caspian Construction, the firm that was awarded the construction contract. Both former Mayor Sam Cates and Schiegel testified the money was from the sale of a share of property in Arizona to Caspian owner Armic Babikanians in 2011. But the city's lawyer, Michael Finlayson, suggested to Schiegel the money was an incentive.
It was money which was an incentive to you, Mr. Cates, to help Mr. Babikanians on the Winnipeg Police Headquarters project.
You're totally incorrect.
Finlayson also suggested there was no land deal, saying the city believes an agreement dated May 2012 was only drawn up in 2017 once Mounties were investigating. No criminal charges were brought forward.
It believes that this was done by you with the connivance of Mr. Cates in order to fend off potential criminal charges arising from the payments.
The city is completely wrong.
Next up on the witness stand at the inquiry, another key player we've heard a lot about, Caspian owner Armic Babikanians.
So, Jeff, besides the land transactions in Arizona we heard about, did Schiegel and Caspian have any other financial dealings?
Sort of. The inquiry heard Babikanians hired someone to build Schiegel a deck at his home in June 2013. Babikanians paid for it $8,000, and then 5 years later, Schiegel says he paid him back.
All right. Thanks for this, Jeff. Some schools across the province closed today as Manitoba braced for heavy snow and risky driving conditions.
Just stay off it. Yeah, it's not worth it. No, wait a day or wait a few hours and try it, but it's not worth your life.
That's Dana Smith, a trucker heading to Toronto from Regina. He spoke to CTV News from the Flying J restaurant in Headingley as he was just one of several rigs that were stopped there. Truckers we spoke to all said the same thing. It's very slick on the highways, and don't drive if you don't have to.
All the way here, there's trucks off the road everywhere, tow trucks pulling them out. The road's probably got, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches of snow on them. And then from here to Portage, it's pretty much all ice.
Started from Brandon this morning, and then up until here, it's about pretty slippery. I almost slipped off the road 2-3 times myself. So now, like, you know, made it here safely after seeing 10-15 trucks in ditches. It's crazy out there. Drive safe.
At last check, no highways had been closed. However, most major highways across southern Manitoba, the Interlake and east and western Manitoba are listed as partly snow covered. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Here in the city, we kind of missed the brunt of it, but yeah. highways weren't great in southwestern Manitoba by the sounds of it.
No, and there was at one point for a small period of time some highway closures. They didn't last long, but as you just mentioned, a lot of those highways not in great shape. But yeah, what happened in Winnipeg? It was supposed to snow here a lot. I know you're asking that. A lot of people have been asking me that today. Well, a couple reasons why we didn't see as much. We'll get into that a little later on. But areas west of Winnipeg sure did. Even just right around Portage La Prairie, just down the road from us, saw an awful lot more snow. So here's where things stand now with respect to snowfall warnings. They do continue tonight, as you can see, for a good swath of southern Manitoba. Just no longer the city of Winnipeg and for areas to the east, but all these areas to the west still under a snowfall warning as we head into tonight. More on that coming up. The CTV Live Eye, though, first is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution in Winnipeg right now. With some snow falling. We did get snow. We just didn't get as much as areas to the west. It's -3 degrees in Winnipeg. Winds out of the east-northeast at 21 kilometers an hour. The wind chill feels like -10. The pressure's rising, and the humidity right now merrily is 62%.
Thanks, Colleen. A warning tonight about a convicted sex offender considered a high risk to reoffend who's been released from jail. 34-year-old Curtis Leroy George was serving a sentence for sexual assault involving an adolescent girl in Thompson. George has a lengthy criminal record for violent and sexual offenses. Back in 2011, he was convicted of sexual interference involving a 13-year-old girl and 5 counts of sexual assault after he assaulted 4 random females who were walking or jogging. Police say George has breached probation orders numerous times. They warn he is a high risk to reoffend in a sexual or violent manner against all females, both adults and youth. He's expected to live in Winnipeg. A 14-year-old boy is facing murder charges tonight in connection to the death of an 18-year-old woman. Her body was found by police inside a home in the 500 block of Yonge Street Saturday morning. She's been identified as Avontai Hartley, a member of Chechigo Lake First Nation in northwestern Ontario. Police tell us she had been living in Winnipeg. Her father, David, says she's the oldest of 5 siblings, and he's in shock over what's happened.
She was young and her life was taken away from her too soon. She's just beginning her life as an adult. She only became an adult for 1 month, and it's just sad to see.
The teen boy arrested yesterday is charged with second-degree murder and criminal negligence causing death. Police wouldn't elaborate on her cause of death or any potential connection between her and the accused, citing the ongoing investigation. A company located just outside Winnipeg has been fined for a workplace death that happened 3.5 years ago. Charges were laid against Wintec Building Services after a worker fell into the blades of an unguarded radiator fan in July 2022. The company pleaded guilty last month to failing to ensure alternate protective measures are in place when safeguards are removed on a machine or tool. Wintec was fined $50,000 with an additional $20,000 to be used for health and safety education. Manitoba business leaders are in Mexico this week, hoping to create new partnerships. They're part of the Team Canada trade mission alongside the federal trade minister. And with more on this mission, CTV's Joseph Bernacki joins us live. So, Joseph, you spoke to many of these delegates today. What are they hoping to accomplish?
Marilee, many say it's been a long time coming and that Mexico and Canada need to hold trade talks like this in order to reduce reliance on the United States, especially now, given the current state of that relationship. And Indigenous leaders I spoke with say they could be on the forefront of any new ties. Manitoba First Nations leadership say this week has been critical as they forge new socioeconomic and cultural partnerships with Indigenous Mexican leaders.
The trade missions have long been void of Indigenous leadership, and so it's very, very important that we're working on developing that. And not only ensuring that we're sitting at the table, but we're actually having some real outcomes.
Southern Chiefs Organization Grand Chief Jerry Daniels joined 370 provincial and federal delegates on the ground in Mexico. He is one of 3 Indigenous leaders hoping to benefit from a knowledge exchange. On Monday, delegates toured Mexico City's Pan American University, learning from students there how innovation in AI technology could improve Indigenous health care.
We want to be able to move faster when it comes to diagnosing Indigenous people back home, and so when we're talking about health care, AI is, I think, the future when it comes to diagnostics.
Daniel says he also made valuable connections with Indigenous business members from the city of Monterey. Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief Kyra Wilson says these trade talks are long overdue, and it's the first time AMC has been at the table.
We've been saying from day one that First Nations need to be involved in any discussions when it comes to trade, resource development.
Chuck Davidson, president and CEO for Manitoba Chambers of Commerce, says there is a real appetite for Canadian-Mexican trade. He says with more than 200 Canadian businesses on the team, it sends a strong message that Canada is open for business. The key to that success will be sustained talks in the coming months.
That's the key to doing trade, is that it doesn't happen by having one meeting. It happens by starting that relationship, understanding what each side has to offer, and the hope by having this repeatedly is that there will be opportunities down the line.
We also spoke with Jamie Moses, the Provincial Minister of Mining, Trade and Job Creation, who's leading the Manitoba delegation. He tells CTV News our province has a lot to offer Mexico, including agriculture, agri-food, and clean energy. The minister says Manitoba needs strong economic relationships with other countries, especially as CUSMA is being reviewed.
So, Joseph, did the Chamber of Commerce offer some additional insight as to what Manitoba and Mexico could, really offer each other in terms of trade?
Yeah, Marilee, it was an interesting discussion. Chuck Davidson says there are all sorts of possibilities, everything from canola, wheat, processed meats to skilled labor coming from aerospace and corporations like Manitoba Hydro, for example. On the flip side, he says Mexico could offer food products, infrastructure to different manufactured goods. Only time will tell how these trade talks further unfold.
All right, thanks for this, Joseph. We'll get ready to see more options for electric vehicles popping up at dealerships in Manitoba now that the federal rebate program is back.
I know when the federal rebates dropped off last year, a lot of dealerships kind of stepped back and wanted to wait and see. Now that the dealerships have the incentive again, we're going to see a bunch of EVs, especially under that $50,000 range.
The electric vehicle affordability plan encourages Canadians to buy or lease affordable EVs by offering incentives up to $5,000 and up to $2,000 for plug-in hybrids.
Right now, with the federal and provincial rebate, you can stack them, which then equates to $9,000 off a vehicle that's under $50,000. So it turns a, let's call it a $50,000 vehicle into a $41,000 vehicle. And there is more affordable EVs than that.
The provincial program runs until the end of March. In a statement to CTV, the province says the program has helped Manitobans purchase more than 5,000 new or pre-owned EVs since its inception in July 2024. The province also noted it's putting $500,000 towards 51 new chargers and a publicly owned charger route between Winnipeg and Thompson, which is expected to open next year. A 43-year-old man has died after being struck by a vehicle near Brady Landfill. It happened around 4 a.m. Friday at the corner of Brady Road and Gousseau Road, roughly 2 kilometers south of the Perimeter Highway. The force says the driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and the victim's next of kin have been notified. Anyone with information or dash cam footage is asked to contact police. Some positive news from Winnipeg Police tonight following significant flooding at its downtown headquarters this weekend. The force says all electrical systems have now been deemed safe. Lighting has been restored and all of the standing water has been removed. Additionally, air quality and humidity levels are back to acceptable levels, and the building has reopened to the public. Now, that being said, the full extent of the damage is still being assessed. It comes after police say someone opened several emergency water supply valves in a stairwell of an adjoining building. 2 people are facing charges. Manitoba is honoring the memory of Humboldt Broncos player Logan Boulet ahead of Green Shirt Day, a day in support of organ donor awareness.
He would be so humbled to know that this simple decision has made such an incredible impact on so many folks.
The Boulet family launched the 2026 Green Shirt Day campaign here in Winnipeg today with the unveiling of a new shirt design. The logo was created by Candice Cernowski of Lorette, who is herself a kidney donor. It was chosen for its emotion and symbolism, which includes a flying puck, crossed hockey sticks, the green organ donation ribbon, and Logan's number 27.
For us, Green Shirt Day allows us to be able to talk about Logan to people who come to press conferences, who come and meet us in a store, who see Toby's pin and say, hey, that inspired me.
The The Boulets also hope it prompts people to talk to their family and friends about their wishes around organ donation. Green Shirt Day falls on April 7th, the day after the Humboldt Broncos bus tragedy, and the day Logan Boulet succumbed to his injuries and his organs were donated to 6 other people. Well, it looks like Winnipeg bookworms have been inching towards Winnipeg libraries lately. February marks I Love to Read Month, and Mayor Scott Gillingham's office says annual attendance numbers across the city's library system have jumped more than 28% since 2022. The number of borrowed materials is also up by nearly 19%. Councillor Vivian Santos says the numbers aren't quite at pre-pandemic levels just yet, but believes recent measures have helped increase usage.
I think the investments that we're making, right, together with the province of Manitoba, we were able to increase our hours, improve some safety measures at all of our libraries. I think it's good to see a slow and steady rise in our library system.
Winnipeg's library system is likely to garner even a few more readers as the city's Garden City Shopping Centre branch is expected to open later this year. A landmark theatre in the Pas is rising from the ashes. The province is providing $2.5 million to rebuild the Lido Theatre. It was lost to a fire in 2024. The plan is to transform it into a regional arts, culture, education, and healing centre.
That's going to be really important for the region, culture and arts and being able to host certain events are really going to be a lot more achievable now once we kind of get through this.
The plan is currently in the design phase, and the mayor expects work to wrap up by the summer of 2028. Another $1.3 million from the province will go to upgrade the Roy H. Johnston Arena and Kelsey recreation facilities, allowing it to host provincial and regional events and tournaments such as the Manitoba Summer Games, as well as to increase barrier-free opportunities. The money is being invested through the Manitoba Growth, Renewal and Opportunities for Municipalities program. Still to come tonight, another blow for the federal Conservatives.
I think it opened a lot of eyes for Canadians, Albertans, Edmontonians.
Another member crosses the floor to the Liberals. Why this departure could be particularly impactful, we'll explain when we return. Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil added $2.79. The loonie slipped to 73.11 cents U.S. Gold futures up $103. The TSX jumped 493 points. The Dow Jones climbed 129 points, while the Nasdaq closed 175 points higher. Well, winter weather may have been a factor in the decline of house sales last month. The Canadian Real Estate Association is blaming harsh weather for the big chill, but will the cold and snow affect the overall outlook? CTV's Heather Wright on whether the slowdown is setting off alarm bells.
That January snowstorm that buried parts of southern Ontario in as much as 60 centimeters of snow and left many roads impassable for days is now being blamed for more than just messy driving.
The first day we had one party.
Alan Nasseri is a real estate broker and says a typical open house usually has about 10 interested parties. But last month, some were virtually empty. He says the weather played a role in the slow month, but so too did economic uncertainty.
There are way less buyers in the market as that confidence in the market, at least based on our observation, is not there at this time.
Home sales across Canada fell to multi-year lows in January as winter storms compounded an already cooling real estate sector. The Canadian Real Estate Association says home sales were down more than 16% last month compared to the year before and down nearly 6% compared to December.
The extent of the weakness in the sales data could just be like 2 or 3 business days where people didn't get out and do stuff. So I say, you just have to wait till next month to see if maybe it is a fundamental thing that's changed or whether it was weather.
While interest rates and home prices are down, houses are still expensive in many markets. Economic uncertainty is keeping many would-be buyers on the sideline, as well as a lack of inventory when it comes to what buyers actually want.
Housing stock and what's available in the market is a lot of very expensive detached homes and a lot of small condos and not a lot of sort of family-friendly, affordable middle stuff.
While Korea expects the real estate market will pick up this year, economists predict the extent of any rebound won't be clear until the spring. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Canada's new ambassador to Washington has officially begun his duties. Mark Wiseman presented his credentials at the White House yesterday. Wiseman is an investment banker and a longtime friend of Prime Minister Mark Carney. His priority is to deal with U.S. tariffs ahead of the review of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. A gut punch for the federal Conservatives today as a third MP crossed the floor to join the Liberals. Alberta's Matt Genereux says he made the move because of challenges facing the country. And this is a big deal because it creates a possible pathway for Mark Carney to secure a working majority in the House. CTV's Mike LeCouture on the surprise defection and what it could mean to the House dynamic.
Matt brings a wealth of experience.
Prime Minister Mark Carney praising his newly poached MP. Matt Genereux says his decision to leave the Conservatives was more about the team he was joining.
Quite simply couldn't sit on the sidelines after seeing what the Prime Minister was, the ambitious agenda he was undertaking across the country and across the world.
In November, Genereux said he was leaving politics to spend more time with his family. But the Alberta MP says it was Carney's speech at Davos that convinced him to change his mind.
I think it opened a lot of eyes for Canadians, Albertans, Edmontonians, just how serious this national meeting crisis truly is.
A Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, responded on social media, calling the floor crossing a betrayal of the people in Genereux's riding who voted for affordable food and homes, safe streets, and a strong resource sector. And some believe Genereux could suffer the consequences of his decision in the next federal election.
When he starts knocking on doors, he's going to get a bit of a wake-up call that these people didn't vote for a good speech in Davos. They voted for a Conservative member of Parliament to represent their Conservative values, and that's not what they're getting.
But Poilievre could feel the effects first. Genereux is the third MP he's lost to the Liberals in the last 4 months. While polls have the Liberals and Conservatives in a dead heat, Carney has a 29-point lead when it comes to preferred Prime Minister.
When some caucus members leave to cross the floor to join the Liberals, that's their own vote of what I'll say discontent with Pierre Poilievre as a leader and as a potential Prime Minister.
Now, this latest floor crosser leaves the Liberals 3 seats shy of a majority. And with 3 by-elections coming up, they could get that majority without holding a general election. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
The bodies of 8 backcountry skiers have been recovered after an avalanche near Lake Tahoe. 1 person is still missing, but 6 people survived. And according to them, they only had a few seconds warning before that avalanche struck. The avalanche is the deadliest in the U.S. since 1981, when 11 climbers were killed in Washington. Fraud attempts are nothing new, but a new poll suggests advancing technologies are fueling Canadians' fears that they might fall victim to one of these scams. Leger surveyed more than 1,500 Canadian adults in December and January. 3 in 4 said they're feeling increasingly vulnerable to financial fraud in the face of rapid improvements in artificial intelligence. 82% believe scams are becoming progressively harder to spot. The poll also consulted 262 Canadian business owners, 66% of which said they feel more exposed to fraud than in previous years. 61% said AI-driven crime is a major threat. Ramadan has begun. It is the 9th and holiest month of the Islamic calendar.
This is a month of compassion and when the community comes together.
Ramadan is observed by Muslims all around the world and is a month of fasting, prayer, and reflection. The annual observance is regarded as one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Meantime, Pope Leo has presided over his first Ash Wednesday Mass since becoming pontiff. He walked with dozens of monks, priests, bishops, and cardinals from one Roman church to another. During his homily, the Pope lamented the ashes of international law and justice which have been left by today's wars and conflicts. Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of Lent, the 7-week period of fasting and repentance leading up to Easter. Believers have ash rubbed or sprinkled on their foreheads in the form of a cross during a Mass as a sign of remorse.
It was stressful, but we never gave up. We believed.
A collective sigh of relief across the country. Coming up, the Canadian men's hockey team secures a spot in the semis after an overtime nail-biting win.
And once this low pressure system still affecting southern Manitoba finally moves on out, colder temperatures will move on in. By Friday, still cloudy, but noticeably colder, -10 degrees. Colder still, but brighter on the weekend. That's the trade-off, mix of sun and cloud. Saturday and Sunday highs around -13, -14, but those overnight lows into the -20s. Back up we go to -14 on Monday during the day. We stay there Monday night up to -9 with flurries possible by Tuesday.
The reduced demand from Canadians flying to the U.S. has air carriers making changes. Air Transat is canceling all flights to the States starting this spring, while WestJet is eliminating routes. CTV's Alex Carpa on what it means for the airlines and also your travel plans.
Yeah, this is myself with my daughter when she was going to school just outside of Pittsburgh.
Mike Gebhardt is a frequent traveler to the United States.
Well, on average, I would probably travel 3, 4, maybe 5.
His daughter lives in Alabama, but visiting her sometimes is not easy.
I do fly out of Saskatchewan most of the time, so it is a bit of a challenge. Leave early in the morning, come back late at night.
But traveling could get a little more chaotic for passengers like Gebhardt. WestJet and Air Transat recently slashed several routes from Canada to U.S. cities.
It's something to always be aware of.
Statistics Canada data last month showed that Canadians continue to take fewer trips to the U.S. in November 2025. Travel agent Daryl Silver says passengers shouldn't be worried about this shift.
Yes, could there be more problems now? I suppose, but in general, I don't think that that's significant if that is happening.
A few travel experts we spoke to say passenger demand to the U.S. from Canada is down and say it's no surprise that airlines like WestJet and Air Transat are reducing these routes.
It's one of those things where they feel they can focus on domestic, where they excel, especially on the West Coast, and become more profitable. It's good for them.
John Graddick says the reduction is consumer-driven.
Not driven by the weather, not driven by anything else. Consumers have decided that they'd rather spend their leisure travel dollars on flights other than the USA, and they're reacting to that.
Meanwhile, Porter Airlines announcing it's adding routes to the U.S., saying travelers want more options. As for Gebhardt, he says he'll continue traveling to the U.S. to see his daughter, but when it comes to vacationing south of the border, he admits he's thinking twice, especially as flight options are reduced. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady is back now with your complete Skywatch forecast. And aside from all the snow, you've been busy today.
Started off the day out in Fort Garry at Ralph Maybank School. I had quite the group. I had kindergarten students mixed with grade 5s. We had a lot of fun. We read a book. We chatted about all kinds of things, what they want to be when they grow up, how I got to do what I'm doing now. And we had a lot of fun along the way, too. So great to get out there to Ralph Maybank School. Thanks so much for having me back. That was a lot of fun. Well, maybe not so fun dealing with this snow or perhaps the lack thereof. What happened in Winnipeg? Well, let's take a look at this zoomed out look at the satellite radar. Here's where the snow is falling now for the most part. Now, this low originated out of Montana over the last couple of days, slowly making its way through the Dakotas, continuing to send snow north into Canada. Not much snow fell with this system in northwestern Ontario. A little bit of snow now falling in Dryden. Kenora got a couple of hours worth, but what about Winnipeg? Well, my observations, I was watching the radar pretty closely last night, awaiting the snow, and it often looked a lot like this, where you see Winnipeg is right on the eastern edge of this precipitation shield, or these bands of snow. Now, late last night, about 11 o'clock, Environment Canada issued a freezing rain warning for some parts of the south, including Winnipeg, and then saying this morning that with some relatively warm air over the south, we saw some precipitation falling as freezing rain, and that may have limited snowfall amounts
amounts overnight. We did see snow grains overnight and into this morning reporting out at Winnipeg Airport. We did eventually get that light snow going, but obviously snowfall amounts were on the low side. But just down the road, volunteer weather observers measured much more snow in Portage La Prairie, and even further off to the west, even more snow is continued there. So that snowfall warning does remain in effect for a good swath of southern Manitoba, pretty much from Winnipeg out to the west to the Saskatchewan border. Environment Canada still suggesting that total snowfall amounts from when that snow started through to when it ends into tomorrow should still come in the warned area, somewhere around 15 to 25 centimeters, and in higher terrain it could be even more. I'm talking about really the escarpment and into the Parkland region. So here's how the futurecast plays out. And as for the highways, east of Winnipeg, pretty much coming into and out of the city, their reporting is bare, including 59, 75, and then areas out to the west, partly snow covered. So if you are driving tonight, do watch out for that. We have that snow that will continue to come down all throughout the night and into Thursday, but you can see how it lightens right up. So we'll see that taper off likely to flurries before it rings out entirely. Then we get quickly overnight and into Friday, where we'll still see cloudy conditions continue. So a little bit of intermittent light snow yet tonight for Winnipeg, down to -7, -6 with light snow possible tomorrow, up to -5 with some gusty north winds. Quick swing around the province. We'll see a few clouds tonight. They're Gillum and Thompson, down to -22 in Thompson, -17 with some light snow there. In the northwest tonight, a little bit of light snow coming through, -17, -19, more to come tomorrow. In the southwest tonight, that snow falling heavily at times. Brandon down to -14, -13 for Dauphin. It's possible as much as 10 centimeters could still fall yet in those areas, with more to come tomorrow before this system finally leaves. -9, -10 for highs. Winnipeg in the southeast, lighter, more intermittent snow overnight, lows -6, -7. Temperatures only rising a couple of degrees with a little bit of light snow continuing. A little bit of light snow ahead tonight yet for northwestern Ontario, and more to come tomorrow on Thursday. Let's take a look at our first weather photo. So here's some snow that was falling today out at Assiniboine Park. You can see the leaf in the background, kind of. That photo is from Mary. And Jeanette sent this shot in of the plows from the RM of Thompson out clearing the roads around Deerwood. Send us your pics to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. A nail-biter in men's hockey and more as Canadians climb the podium in Milano Cortina. CTV Scott Hurst has our Olympic roundup.
Canadian passion was on full display following the men's hockey game in Milan.
Incredible. It was a lot of fun to be a part of.
But it was unfamiliar territory early on for Canada in its quarterfinal matchup against Czechia. After an early goal by 19-year-old Macklin Celebrini, Czechia responded with 2 goals of its own, putting Canada behind for the first time all tournament.
Classic Canadian hockey. We don't wake up the first 20 minutes of the game.
In the second period, more concern for Canada as captain Sidney Crosby left the game with an injury and did not return. But Canada was able to tie it up. Nathan McKinnon scored off a pass from Connor McDavid.
It was stressful, but we never gave up. We believed.
And that belief paid off. In the third, the teams traded goals to send this quarterfinal matchup to a 3-on-3 overtime. And it was former Toronto Maple Leaf Mitch Marner who scored the game-winning goal for Canada.
It was electric. It was just so good to be part of this community and see all the Canadian passion.
In other Olympic action, more podiums for Canadian athletes, including a gold in the men's 500-meter short track final. Stephen Dubois is now the Olympic champion. Also, Canada won a bronze medal in the women's 3,000-meter relay. The team of Dana Iblé, Kim Boutin, Florence Brunel, and Courtney Sereau. For Sereau, the 25-year-old from Moncton, New Brunswick, this is her 4th Olympic medal at these games. The spotlight returns to hockey tomorrow with the highly anticipated women's final, Canada versus the United States. The Canadians lost to the Americans earlier in the tournament, but Team Canada is the defending Olympic champion. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Making sure your back is straight, your posture's correct.
Most people will experience it at one point in their lives, but there are things you can do now to help prevent lower back pain. 7 ways to keep your back happy, up next in Medical Watch. Snow and ice create difficult driving conditions, and right now parts of Manitoba are dealing with both. So to help you stay confident and in control while behind the wheel, Nadia Matos with CAA joins us tonight to share some winter driving tips. Nadia, great to speak with you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, the storm got off to a slow start here in Winnipeg. Parts of southwestern Manitoba were slammed with snow, freezing rain. So I'm curious, if your car starts to slide while out on the road, what should you do?
Well, it seems contrary, but the first thing that you need to do is to not panic. So you want to take your foot gently off the accelerator and gently brake and kind of steer into the direction that you want to go to. So a lot of stuff is happening when you're in a skid. Really important that you stay calm and think, where do I need to go? Turn the steering that way and try to ease off everything as slowly as possible.
What about if you end up stuck in some deep snow? What's your best plan of action in that situation?
Well, the first thing that you need to determine is are you safe? Are you anywhere near live lanes of traffic? If you are and you feel unsafe, you need to call 911. The second thing you need to kind of do is assess whether or not your vehicle you're able to take your vehicle out. If the answer is no, the best and safest place for you is inside your vehicle. So make sure your tailpipe is free from any kind of snow, and then head on inside. Make sure you have your seatbelt in. It's going to be the safest place generally for you in a situation like that.
Well, we haven't seen too many closed highways as of yet. If you do find yourself stuck or stranded because of one, or because your vehicle got stuck or an emergency, what advice can you offer when it comes to those sorts of situations?
Well, again, you have to assess your situation and see whether or not it's kind of safe to be outside or inside your vehicle. Generally, with inclement weather, the safest place for you is inside your vehicle. Our recommendation is not to try to get outside of your vehicle and make it to the next exit. If you can, before heading out to these longer trips, making sure that you plan and prepare as much as possible ahead of time. And that means packing extra non-perishable food items, some water, and some warmer clothes. So you want to bring extra things with you. Throw in an extra blanket, some tea lights, some matches, those kind of things will keep you warm. Nobody ever expects to get stranded or kind of blocked off in a road that gets closed, but those things do happen. So as you head out, think to yourself, where am I going? Do I need to pack extra supplies? If you happen to find yourself in that situation, well, again, assess your situation, call 911 if you don't feel safe, and stay inside your vehicle. It's going to be the safest place for you.
All right, chances some motorists are going to encounter plows or tow trucks, maybe some CA vehicles on their commutes over the next few days. What are the rules around that?
Well, really important that you slow down and move over and give those workers on the side of the road plenty of space to do their thing. We're all trying to get to where we're going and to work safely as well. So just giving people extra room around there. We can't stress enough in these types of situations of like inclement weather. It's really slowing down and driving according to the weather conditions. Oftentimes when they see people in ditches, it's just because they've gone way too fast. The posted speed limit there is for those days when it's really sunny out and really clear, and that's just not one of those days today.
Winter tires are something a lot of experts recommend we have. Are you able to tell us how big of a difference having a set of winter tires can make when it comes to snowy or icy conditions?
Yeah, anybody who's had a set of winter tires and has made that transition will tell you that it gives you so much extra traction, stability, control. It can reduce your braking distances by up to 25%. So that makes all the difference when you're kind of in that stop and go traffic. It can make all the difference. And as you're navigating those tight turns and corners and things like that, it can make the difference.
Nadia, thanks so much for the tips tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you.
Prescriptions for popular weight loss drugs like Wegovy are on the rise for new moms, according to some new research. Danish researchers found a 5-fold increase in prescriptions for GLP-1 weight loss medications for Wegovy and others like it for women who have delivered a baby in the past 6 months. GLP-1s are not recommended for use during pregnancy, and there's limited safety data for their use during the postpartum period. Experts simply don't know what kind of impact they have on breastfeeding, hormones, or long-term health risks in mom and baby. Well, it's one of the leading causes of job-related disability in the U.S. Up to 80% of people will experience lower back pain at some point in their lives. But experts say there are things you can do now to help prevent the issue in the future.
Back pain, unfortunately, is quite common.
Dr. Trishul Kapoor with Cleveland Clinic says you can reduce the risk of developing pain. First, have a healthy diet and exercise. Having a strong core is especially important since those muscles support the spine. And manage your weight, but also talk to your doctor about which number is healthy for you to see on the scale.
Weight distribution also plays a significant role in terms of where are you carrying most of that weight, because that can have significant impacts on your spine in terms of increasing certain curvatures that are exacerbated.
Next, get underlying medical problems under control. Kapoor says conditions like diabetes and hypertension can increase inflammation in the body and eventually lead to spine, joint, and muscle problems. Smoking also causes swelling, so he says to avoid it. And remember to keep your back straight whenever you lift something heavy.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
Hey ho, voyageurs! Evening entertainment returns to Festival tomorrow night. We'll have all those details for you next in Spotlight.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Straight From Me to You, the tribute to George Strait.
The music returns to Festival du Voyageur tomorrow. Here's a look at what some of the things that you can expect. Now, the fun gets started with a community luncheon at noon at the Franco-Manitoban Cultural Centre on Provencher Boulevard. Entertainment is coming from talented family band Oulé 2.0 from Lorette. Over at Festival proper, plenty of musical acts will get started during the 6 o'clock hour. That includes traditional music by Trad Express Co. or something a little more contemporary from a 15-year-old rapper, Andy Queen. At 7, you can grab your headphones for a silent disco or get lost in a play about a shape-shifting Métis character. And there's a long list of acts taking the stage throughout the evening, including funk band Les Remedies and an album launch for an album launch party for electro rap artist Sean Jobin. You can head to heyho.ca for details and tickets. Meanwhile, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival is turning 25 years old and has announced its headliners for its mega shows at the Burton Cummings Theatre.
I want you to do everything in your power to get me cancer.
Fest.
The hosts include singer and actor Jan Arden, comedian Sean Majumder, Brooklyn Heights of Canada's Drag Race, comic Dave Merhage, and Chris Wilson from This Hour Has 22 Minutes. The festival kicks off on April 20th and runs through the 26th at multiple venues across the city. After winning big at the Grammys and playing the Super Bowl halftime show, Bad Bunny has secured his first ever lead role in a movie.
United States, Canada, my motherland, mi patria, Puerto Rico.
The singer has appeared in movies before, including titles like Bullet Train and Happy Gilmore 2. He'll now star in the directorial debut of fellow Puerto Rican artist and Grammy winner Residente. The movie is titled Puerto Rico, the former English name for the island. It's described as an epic Caribbean Western and historical drama inspired by true events. No release date has been set just yet. Your primetime lineup comes with shifting gears, starting off the evening. The Big Bang Theory and Children Ruin Everything follows up. Shark Tank wraps it all up at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
This year we've done a little more of an Olympic theme, and the kids have been really excited about that.
Still to come, how kids at a Transcona school are getting into the Olympic spirit.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Well, it looks like the snow has stopped for now at the airport and may be falling elsewhere in the city. It's -3 degrees, winds out of the east-northeast at 21 kilometers an hour. So when you factor in the wind chill, it feels more like -10. -10 will become closer to the actual air temperatures we will be experiencing coming up soon. But for now, the highest temperature today, well, that was overnight. It was -1. On this day 1 year ago, the highest temperature was -20.4. So we may have some intermittent snow continuing both overnight and lightly on Thursday, down to -7 tonight. -5 on Thursday, -10 degrees Friday, and then colder but brighter merrily by the weekend.
Thanks, Colleen. A Transcona area school is cheering on Team Canada while taking part in its own winter sports activities.
Curling, skating, and ice hockey.
Those are just some of the Olympic events students are taking part in as part of the Wayota School Games. Work started on this schoolyard rink way back in the fall with students helping to set up the boards and then flood it and paint the surface. Phys ed teacher Tyler McGurry says it's the 5th year the school has set up the rink for some outdoor fun and physical activity.
This year we've done a little more of an Olympic theme, and the kids have been really excited about that and learning about the Olympic Games and just how Olympic spirit and just learning how to be active for life with all these outdoor activities.
McGurry says local businesses, the school division, and students have been a big help in keeping this rink going over the years. Along with the on-ice events, students have also explored bobsledding, luge, and skiing. Well, hats off to teacher McGurry. I think that's great. Those kids are, gold medal for you, absolutely. And all the businesses and kids that put in the work in, well done. That looks like a lot of fun.
It really does.
All right, that does it for us tonight. Stay safe. We'll see you back here tomorrow.